All right, so we're going live here while everybody gets on. We're going live here with one of our clients, Chuck Rosen. Chuck, you're out of, I think, the Dallas, Texas area, something like that?
Yep, North Dallas.
Okay, one of the cool guys over there in Texas, doesn't have to pay state income tax. So today we're gonna talk about Chuck. We're gonna talk about some of the different questions, NEPQ questions we've taught him, and kind of the tonality that he's learned going through some of our training, and then kind of the results he's gotten from that, and then what that's going to do for you listening to us or watching us wherever you're coming in from YouTube or LinkedIn. We're going live on StreamYard, so we're going live in the Facebook group Sales Revolution. There's about 42,000 of you in there. We're going live in the Facebook business page, about 90-some thousand in there. Our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and my personal Facebook here, right? So what he's going to do is he's going to drop, I've asked him to drop some golden nuggets. He's agreed to do that. So you might want to write this down, and then what he'll do is he'll drop those golden nuggets, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit about how to apply it to what you sell watching us right now or listening to us, wherever you're coming in from. Now, Chuck, tell everybody you're in the financial services industry, right?
Yes, so we do employee benefits for companies. So we primarily are in the B2B space. Yeah. So we do employee benefits and 401ks for companies all over the country.
Yeah, we train 158 industries at this point, and employee benefits is probably in the top 50 that we train at. We train a ton of people, I've noticed, in employee benefits in the last year especially. So Chuck, it's kind of an interesting story. Chuck was one of our first clients back in 2017 before I even started 7th Level. 7th Level was started pretty much the beginning part of 2018. In 2017, I did a couple of webinars, just freelanced webinars, and Chuck was one of the first clients before I even started the company. Gus on YouTube, do you train in the storm restoration hail damage industry? We do, Gus. We train thousands in that space. We actually train 158 industries, Gus. According to Forbes, there's actually only 158 different industries, and then there's subsets of those industries. And one of those subsets is yours, which we train tons of people in that industry. Very good industry to make a lot of money if you have the right sales skills. Very hard to make money if you don't. Okay, that's important. All right. Now, so we're going to talk with Chuck about kind of what he's learned from NEPQ and then how you guys can apply that. Now, if you're brand new to, let's say, the Facebook group, or you just started following me on the Facebook group or the business page or LinkedIn or YouTube, my name is Jeremy Miner. I'm the founder of 7th Level. And if you don't know yet, we're a sales training organization, obviously, that trains salespeople exactly like you watching us right here. Okay, so we train sales professionals like you. We train sales executives like you, sales management, leadership like you, entrepreneurs, business owners like you. And we help you and your teams, no matter the industry, Chuck's included, basically transform the way you guys sell by learning specific skilled questions and techniques that work with human behavior rather than work against it. And what's the difference in that? If we don't know the difference of what works with human behavior rather than against it, we're in trouble, okay? That's called neuro-emotional persuasion questions. And we have to teach you the right tonality, because there's certain questions, and me and Chuck will talk about this, there's certain questions in your sales process that require more of a curious tone when you ask the question. Then there's other questions that require more of a skeptical or challenging tone. And then there's other questions that you have to ask that require more of a concerned tone, more of a tone that shows more empathy. Well, do you know the difference? Because if you don't know the difference, then you're losing sales that you could be making. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. Now, if you're on the live right now, what I want you to do is go grab your phone, and I want you to go down to the bottom of your phone, and I want you to post #live. So if you're on the live right now, go down to the bottom part of your phone, and I want you to post #live. I'll even give it a love. So go post #live. And if you're on the replay, I'm going to have you post #replay. Thanks for doing that, Michael. So if you're on the live, go post #live. If you're on the replay, go post #replay. Okay. Now, I want each of you to go down to the very bottom, and I want you to, and I better see this, otherwise I'm just going to end the call and I'm going to go golf. You know, Chuck lives in Dallas. He can probably golf there. It's a pretty nice day here in Scottsdale. It's like 63 degrees. I'm going to go golf out here. So I want you to go smash the heart button, and I want you to smash the like button. So I want you to smash the heart button, smash the like button. All right. What that does is it gives more people in the Facebook group and the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, more an opportunity to see this live. Now, you guys want to start being like our clients like Chuck. Because Chuck, what do you make? I think last year, how much did you make last year? You posted something.
Yeah, I did about 750.
Yeah, made about 750,000 as a salesperson last year. So well done. A little bit higher than what he used to do before.
And this year we should be at this 2022. That was 2021. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong year. And this past year we were like 848.
Okay, good stuff. You're doing well. So if you want to acquire the same skills like Chuck, and we're talking tens of thousands of clients at this point, you want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry. You want to start making 15 or 20 grand like every month. I'm not talking 1 month you're up, the next month you're down. There's no stability in that. You want to start making 25 or 30 grand a month in commissions with what you sell now, or let's say 40 or 50 or even higher like Chuck does now, okay? You want to acquire those skills, message me directly right now. Okay, so if you're in the Facebook group or LinkedIn or my Facebook or the business page, message me directly right now. If you're on YouTube, you can't message me. You'll have to join the free Facebook group, salesrevolution.pro, if you want to message me. Or if you can't figure out how to message me because you're an old guy and you don't understand social media like I am, then down in the comments, post hashtag NEPQ, and either myself or one of my stunt doubles will message you back some different training options for your industry if you want to sell more, okay? Cody on YouTube, do you work with anyone selling ethics and compliance software? Cody, yes. Let me answer the question again. For the record, we train every industry on planet Earth. There is 0 industries we do not train now at this point with the size of the company, except the underwater basket weaving industry. That's the only industry we're not in. So Cody, if you have any connections in the underwater basket weaving industry, please come to somebody in the company. We're trying to get into that market. Hopefully that answers your question, Cody. Yes, we train tons of people in your industry. All right, Chuck, let's talk about you, because nobody cares about me, right? They just care about
Well, nobody cares about me either. So.
There you go. All right, so let's get a little bit. I always ask this question to every client. We try to interview a client in a different industry every single week of the year. Were you born out of your mother's womb with like advanced questioning skills, advanced tonality, or is that something you had to acquire?
That is something you had to acquire. I mean, my mother always did tell me, you have quite that tone in your voice and you better knock it off. But I don't think that's what she meant.
Okay, but not the
watch your tone. But yeah, I don't think that's what she meant.
Watch your tongue tone. All right. So these are acquired skills that you had to learn. All right. Now, financial services, when did you get into selling like financial services, employee benefits?
I started in 2001 after the birth of my first son. I decided I needed something a little more stable, away there where I could be a dad. So
okay, because I think you were getting into like acting or something out in Hollywood.
I was a professional actor all the way up till I was 33. Yes, sir.
Okay, so then you're like, hey, I've got to have a stable income. I got to get this job. I got to start selling. So before because you got an NEPQ, what, 3-4 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever, before we even started. Before you learned NEPQ, how did you sell? Like, what type of sales techniques did you use? What did you do?
Well, you did a lot of, bringing out your solutions, right? You had the answer. You didn't really understand what the problem was, but you had the answer because it was just, they had this, you were just looking at one piece of it, and it was all based on the thing that you were selling, whether it was clothing or financial services. I get a better return. Okay. Just throwing stuff at the wall, see what would stick.
So you're throwing stuff at the wall. From what I understand, I mean, even throwing stuff at the wall, you did fairly decent, right? Didn't you get up to like 20 grand a month or something like that?
Yep.
Okay.
I did. I mean, I was doing what I thought was fine.
Okay. So you're like, man, I'm making 20 grand a month. I'm the king of the hill. I know everything there is to know about sales. And then from what I understand from your story, because we talked a little bit about it before we got on here, you were in California. And then you're like, hey, I'm moving to Texas. So what changed?
Yeah, and that was a little scary. So I moved to Texas about eight and a half years ago.
Okay.
And, when I started my business, I was a younger man.
Yeah.
And now I'm an older man.
Okay.
And I'm moving to a new state where I don't know anybody. I don't really understand the climate here.
Yeah.
And I was running up against some resistance because who could trust a guy who just moved from California? I mean,
Texas,
from California.
Right.
I had to tell everybody I was from Ohio.
Oh,
which is true, by the way. That is where I'm from, but that's where I had to change it.
Ohio before California. Yeah. So
Correct.
nobody in the Midwest, if you say you're from California, you got to be careful because they're like, oh, we don't trust Californians for whatever reason, right? I don't know why nothing wrong with Californians for sure. I don't know why they had the stigma in the Midwest and the South. Okay. So you're like, holy crap, this is harder. And then how did you find us originally?
A Facebook ad, I believe.
Yeah.
I clicked on it and
I looked you
everything
up.
kind of resonated.
I looked you up. You're one of our first 100 clients. I don't know if you're aware of that. Like I said, it was 7-Level was started in 2018, but the year before in 2017, I did 2 webinars just randomly to see what would happen. You were one of the first 100 clients that bought off that webinar. You bought like the first version of what is now called NEPQ 2.0. That's the first program you were in. All right. So what caused you to like get into that training? Like what caused you to go like, maybe I don't know everything about selling, even though I'm making 20 grand a month. What caused you to be like, I need to learn more?
Well, I think, you have to, anybody that's walking around thinking that they know everything is a fool, right? Because nobody knows everything, right?
As Socrates would say, for sure.
That's right. I've heard someone else said it. That's probably more famous than I.
He did say that.
Yes, he did. So I think there was the tonality resonated. The softness of the process.
Okay.
The getting rid of the pressure, and not just the pressure on the prospect. Yeah. The pressure on me as the salesperson. That I think was the most important thing for me.
Yeah. Okay. How does your and I want to make sure everybody understands when Chuck says softness, he's not meaning that you get to an end of a conversation or sales process and you're like, well, if you're interested, just email me back. That's not what he's talking about. Like you don't get to 750,000 a year in commissions like Chuck has been just saying, well, if you're interested, call me back later. Like that's not going to happen. What he means by softness is he means that what he's learned how to do is how to disarm the prospect where they let their guard down and they become open to what you're offering. They go below the surface. They don't stay surface level with you and you build massive trust with them. That's what he means by
like they would with a friend, with a friend, but that you both have an understanding that you care and that you're concerned for their well wishes, but that you're keeping it in the business scope of things. Like we don't go down the road talking about your children and, hey, I love to go hunt and like, I'm not going hunting. Yeah. Like that's not going to be something I'm going to lie about and say I'm interested in, but we don't go down that road. We get rid of all the surface stuff. Yeah. We go down to the deep thing because that's the problem they want to solve.
Yeah. They want their problem solved to get where they want to go. Right.
Right.
What they want. So so how did your prospects start to treat you differently? Like what was different when you started learning NEPQ and really applying it? Like obviously we know the results. You went from making 250 grand a year to 750 grand a year. That's a big jump. I mean, it's a big lifestyle change, especially in Texas. Really, it's cost of living is not as much as California. But how did your prospects react to that? Like what went on? What did you notice?
You know what happens is they no longer, it's not an adversarial relationship because we're taught that sales is a game of war, right? I mean, it's us versus them. Yeah. And it really turned into something like, look, we're on the same team. Yeah. And then they start calling you. My clients call me for everything. Yeah. All the decisions, even decisions that we're like, dude, you should be able to make this decision on your own. You do not need to call me. Yeah. With this.
Well, it's because you build massive trust with them. And what you're saying is you don't build trust by asking them about the weather or how their day's going or do they like hunting? I love hunting. That doesn't build trust. Like most of your prospects see right through that. What they interpret when you guys make small chatter like that to your prospects, what most of your prospects think is, oh, they're just trying to get me to like them, so I'll buy from them. And it triggers sales resistance in most of your prospects unless they're laid down. That's just what the studies show.
And some of my clients might even tell you that they don't like me, but they trust me. Yeah. And they know that I'm always going to do what's in their best interest, even if they don't sometimes like something about me.
That's a big thing that you brought up here. People don't buy. See, I'll go back to it. I love Dale Carnegie's book from 1936, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay. But prospects in 1936 are much, much different in 2023. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. They didn't have the power of social media, the power of the internet, where they basically know they have many options to choose the exact same thing you're selling. Okay. 1936, that wasn't really the case. They couldn't go online and read reviews. We're in a different ball game that we're playing here, right? So people don't buy because they like you. They buy because they feel you can get them the best result. They buy because they trust that you can get them the best result. If that was the case, nobody would buy from Amazon. It's not like everybody like, oh, I love Jeff Bezos, the billionaire. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but they're like, oh, I love him, so I'm going to buy from him. No, they buy from Amazon over their neighbor who owns the local retail store because they feel like Amazon can get them a better result. They might like their neighbor, but they're buying from Amazon because they feel Amazon can get them a better result. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what Chuck's saying is people buy from you because they trust that you can get them a better result, not just because they like you. In fact, they don't have to like you, and they can still buy from you because they feel like you have better. Now, if they like you, that's just a bonus.
Right. I mean, that's just a bonus. I mean, yes. Most of my clients like me.
Yeah, you don't want to get your prospects to hate you. That's not what we're saying. But they don't buy from you just because, oh, they're a really cool guy. See, here, let me give you an example. You love grandma, but you're not necessarily going to buy from grandma if you've got some other company that's selling the same thing that you feel is going to get you a much better result, right? You still love grandma, but it doesn't mean you're going to buy from grandma. Okay, let's give them maybe a few examples. So what's maybe one good connecting question that you use that maybe you learn from, going through NEPQ? Like one good connecting question that kind of, triggers them to kind of let their guard down.
So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been searching to make this kind of a change?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you're like somebody, like you get a lot of inbound leads, right? Or people come to you now, kind of referrals and stuff.
Yeah. Mostly referrals. We don't do a lot of outbound marketing anymore. So we're already in the meeting.
Okay. So you're already in the meeting. So give me an example of that. I like that question. Give that again.
So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been trying to solve this issue that you've been having with your employees?
See, that's really good. Now, did you see what he did there? Did everybody look at his facial expressions, and did you hear his tone? See, he didn't speed through that question. He didn't say, so what caused you to have us come in today to look at solving XYZ problem? If he says that fast, it's just he's going to get a knee-jerk reaction. He's going to get a knee-jerk answer. But notice how he used like his facial expression and his hands, and he slowed down. He had some good verbal pauses there. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Well, you need to make sure that, one, they can take time while you're asking to process what they want to say too, so they can really listen too. Yeah. Because if you talk too fast, people just hear the speed. They're not hearing the inflections, the tone, the pauses in there, and you need to give people the ability. With a beat, you need a beat there, an acting term, right? A little.
What it also does is what you just did there is it triggers a prospect while you're kind of slowing down and you have like a verbal pause. It causes them to be drawn in because they don't know what you're about to ask them. So they're like drawn in. They're like on the edge of the chair. It's just like, I'll give you an example. Like Tony Robbins does a really good job of that. President Obama, when he spoke, he was really good at verbal pauses that drawed his audience in compared to like the guy that's in the White House now. I'm just saying, like, if communication styles, you can tell that those are things that they were trained to do, right? The tone, the verbal pauses, the verbal cues, just like you were trained to do. Okay, so let's give an example of like, let's say situation questions. Like and there's several different situation questions you have to ask for industry, but maybe give an example of one situation question you ask to help them and you find out what their real situation is.
So you told me that you're offering this core benefit to your employees and you're having some network issues. What do you think that's going to do to your employees' morale if they can never find a doctor that they want to go to?
Yeah, so that's almost like, that's kind of a situation question / mini consequence question that you wrapped in there.
Right. A lot of times you have shortened time, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that I've tried to learn and during your process is to see if there's any way to condense. There's so, like, you can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I did this actually to protect myself, because you can go down a rabbit hole of asking so many questions that your prospect gets a little overwhelmed. And I think that's what we tend to do, is we tend to talk too much rather than listen more.
Yeah, 100%. Like with situation questions, you typically, it depends on the industry. Like employee benefits, you're going to probably have to ask more than if you sold B2C. Like typically with most B2C type of sales, it's maybe 3, maybe 4 situation questions. Sometimes when you're getting more involved in a complex sound environment like employee benefits, there might have to be 5 or 6 different situation questions, because there's more to find out. There's more navigating that you have to do, right?
And there's a lot more moving parts in it, because there's so many other things to consider. It's just not you're buying for your family, you're buying for a company, you're looking at their budget, you're looking, I mean, it's price.
But what Chuck really does well that he's learned from the training is when he's asking those more fact-based questions, right? Situation questions, he's still slowing down. He's even though he knows what he's going to ask, do you see what he's doing? He's like looking up, he's thinking about what he's going to ask, or implying to the prospect that he's thinking, even though he knows what he's going to ask, right? So you have to do that. You can't just like sound like a scripted robot with your questions, because then they feel like you're interrogating them.
And you just can't assume, like what I've learned, I think one of the things I've learned that has been so changed me so much is that even though I've been literally asked probably every question by a client you could or prospect that you could possibly ask, I know the answers. I could rattle them off no matter what you said, right?
Yeah.
But I never assume I know what they're going to say, even if I know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
I ask them to clarify it for me. When you said this, how do you mean?
But you have to, that's a good NEPQ clarifying question. You have to, because as you know, you have to build a gap from where they are compared to where they want to be. You can only help them build a gap by your clarifying and probing questions that take them below the surface, where they start to feel that maybe they have way bigger problems than they originally thought they had before they started talking to you.
And you can't answer it for them. You need to let them tell you.
Well, because if you answer it for them, it just goes in one ear out the other, and the gap becomes way smaller. And then they don't attach the need to solve the problem with themselves.
You run out of the next question. And now you don't have the next question because you just gave them the answer. So you don't have anything to clarify.
Yeah, 100%. What's a good problem awareness question that you use to help them find out that maybe they have more problems than they thought they had? Or a bigger problem than they thought they had?
Problem awareness. So the idea that your assistant is signing the 5500 form for you, have you thought about, any fiduciary responsibility that you might be laying on someone that shouldn't have that responsibility?
Okay, I like that. Yeah, for your industries, that would work. What about solution awareness questions? Like, what's a good solution awareness question you've learned how to ask? Because there's several you ask for industry, but what's just one example of one that gets the employer or the division head who you're talking about to kind of view what their future is going to look like once these newfound problems you help them discover are solved?
Well, if there were a way that you could reduce this impact on these employees over here, and I'm not saying that there is, okay, but if there were, is that something that you might want to take a look at?
And what do they usually say?
Well, they always say, sure, I'll take a look at it. And even if they're doing with a skeptical kind of tone, nobody ever says, absolutely not. I would never even consider looking at that.
And you always want to do that, like that type of solution awareness question, if they're kind of skeptical, when you pull back and you say, if there was a way that you could, and I'm not saying there is yet, but let's just say there was. So you always do that to somebody that's kind of on the fence or skeptical. Typically, if they've been wide open, you can still do that. You don't have to. But especially if they're skeptical or they just haven't really opened up throughout the conversation, they're more of an A-type and they're just kind of thrown down, that's a really good solution awareness question you can ask. We'll say, if there was a way that you could X, Y, Z. Now, I'm not saying there is yet. I'd have to know a little bit more. But let's say that we could. do XYZ. Is that something that possibly would be of interest to you? You could even say that. It's a solution awareness question, but you could even use it at the beginning of a conversation. If they're like, hey, just, I don't have much time, or they try to get rid of you, sometimes you can use that as well. What about a consequence question? What's a good consequence question you've learned how to ask for your industry?
So remember when you told me you've been looking for this solution for the last 6 months?
Yeah.
I mean, based on what you've told me, if you continue down this road, what would ever make you make this change? Have you thought about what this will mean for your business?
Okay, I like that. It's kind of a different form of a consequence question. Or okay, but what's the main problem? Give me a problem that they might have. Why did they reach out?
The problem that they have is they have their premiums are too high, and they're just feel like they're stuck.
So what happens if you stay with XYZ company and you keep having these, type of premiums? I'm not sure how you would say that.
The rate increases, right? So
what happens if you stay with XYZ company and they keep forcing you to pay the rate hikes every year? You can even say forcing you to pay the rate hikes or something like that. So people don't like to be forced.
Right. I mean, if you're just stuck in a fully insured plan and you can't make any changes.
Yeah. What happens then? Yeah.
What happens next?
Yeah, that's a good consequence question. We won't talk about your presentations. We don't have time to go into that. What about a commitment question? What's one good commitment question you've learned to get them to commit to take the next step? Even a smaller commitment question where they commit to take the next meeting because you're more of a complex selling environment.
Yeah. Based on the information that you've shared with me, do you think it might make sense for us to have another call or set up another virtual meeting to maybe go through it in a little more detailed way?
And what do they typically say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're asking for permission. So based on what you've told me, what we're doing would actually work for you. Because that gives me more clarity of kind of what's going on. Would it make sense for us to have another virtual meeting to go through X and Y and Z, and then how we could A, B, and C? Would that help you if we did that? It's just another form of that. That's a smaller commitment question. Now, if you sell B to C and it's a one-call close, obviously you wouldn't do that because you don't need to book a next appointment. But if you're in more of a complex sound environment like Chuck is, you can't just say, okay, well, this is great. Let's have another meeting. Do you want to book with me Friday at 1 or Friday at 4? Like, people are, whoa. Like, see, you're not asking for permission. You're trying to force it on them. And that triggers sales resistance with a lot of prospects.
Yeah. Do you think it would make sense for us to fill out the application now?
Yeah. Do you feel like this
complete the application
answer for you? Yeah. It's a lot of good commitment questions. All right, Chuck, any last, I've got a hard stop. I know you too. Any last words of advice you would give for maybe a new salesperson that's starting to learn, or even a vet that might already be like you were, making $20,000 a month? Any words of advice you give?
Look, NEPQ never doesn't work. I've said it over and over again. I know it's a double negative because it means it always works. It never doesn't work.
Sure.
And you can be as skeptical as you want. There's all these people out there selling some other salesy thing or whatever it is. I'm telling you, it really will change. It will change your life. It'll change your relationships. It'll change the way you communicate with everybody.
Yeah.
And it never doesn't work.
Yeah, especially once you guys get into like our advanced 3.0 and inner circle, and you really learn the nuances of the tonality and the body language and verbal pausing and verbal cues and more industry specific training for your industry watching us right now. You start learning those skills, it's pretty much impossible not to sell a ton more than you are now, for sure. Chuck, can't thank you enough, man. Enjoy Texas. And look, make sure, here, somebody asked me in the, somebody's DMing me on the Facebook group or the LinkedIn here. So to join the Facebook group, so if you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or the Facebook business page, you want to see more lives like this, because I don't go live in the other channels that much. Just go to, I'm going to have somebody in the team post this in the comment section. I'll even post it here. Go to salesrevolution.pro. So salesrevolution.pro to join the free Facebook group, and check your DMs on Facebook Messenger right after you join, because somebody on my team will message you over a free training called the NEPQ 101 mini course. So if you're on YouTube, especially, because you can't message us there on YouTube on that platform. So you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook group, my Facebook. You want to start acquiring the same skills that Chuck has acquired that took him from 250,000 a year in commissions to now over 750,000 a year in commissions, which that's really good for Texas, man. That's really good. If you're back in California, man, you'd be, one bedroom apartment studio, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I mean, it's changed my life. And, and as we were talking about earlier, is like, it gives you the freedom to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You can literally be as successful as you want to be using NEPQ. You can make as much money as you want.
Once you acquire the right skills, it's pretty hard not to at least double or triple what you're doing now. Okay, so if you want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry, or 15 or 20 or even 30 or 40,000 plus per month, we have clients in your industry watching me right here. I can assure you that make more than what I just said every single month right now. And it's not like they're not a human being. They have hair. Apparently, I think they brush their teeth. Rumor has it they drink water and eat food, and they even have problems. But what's the difference? They've just acquired more advanced skills. That's why they're outselling you. So once you acquire the same skills, well, you get the same results. Magic that. So just message me directly right now if you're on Facebook, the Facebook group, or LinkedIn. And if you're on YouTube, join the Facebook group. Message me directly right now. And either myself or one of my surrogates will message you some training options that we have for you, for your industry, if you want to make that type of income. Chuck, thanks very much. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here, Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're gonna help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.